Columbia Games is continuing their series of hardback editions of their venerable HârnWorld fantasy RPG setting, and their latest book, now available on Kickstarter, is already fully funded, but you still have some time to pledge and get in on the deals. And that book covers the Republic of Tharda, one of the 7 human states on the large island of Harn. Tharda is a plutocratic republic, and in some senses, a little like ancient Rome, but it's also its own creation within Harn with its own unique qualities. In this video, I'll take you through a look at the Republic of Tharda setting, and we'll also take a look at the pledge levels available in the Kickstarter. If after watching this video, you decide to pledge to the Kickstarter, do me a favor and use the link in this video's description, which helps out this channel. And do know that this video is sponsored content, and as such, RPG Rundown may get a portion of pledges referred when you use this link. We have also received book review copies from Columbia Games in order to make this video. And now, let's talk Tharda. I'm Dave. This is the one and only RPG Rundown, and this video is HârnWorld, the Tharda setting and Kickstarter. To get a good overview of the greater HârnWorld setting, take a look at this video that I'll put right here. Yeah, originally done as part of our coverage of the Azadmir setting Kickstarter. But to sum up here, Harn is a full campaign setting taking place on a fictional planet called Kythera, and focused mostly on that planet's region known as the Harnic Isles, most notably the large island of Harn. The HârnWorld setting is known for its incredible detail and attention to a little more realism than your average fantasy setting, and the HârnWorld sourcebook contents are all setting information without any rules for any particular RPG system. This means you can use pretty much any tabletop RPG rules to run games in Harn, including D&D, Pathfinder, or even Columbia's own delightfully crunchy system, HârnMaster. But do know that even though the HârnMaster system is designed for use with HârnWorld, the HârnWorld sourcebooks are not tied to those rules in any way. In fact, these books are highly readable just for the pure immersive enjoyment of taking in a complete fantasy setting if you're into that kind of thing. So while these books won't add, say, any nifty new D&D classes or spells, it leaves them much more free to deal in great detail with setting and only setting, resulting in the most information-rich setting sourcebooks you might ever come across in tabletop roleplay gaming. If you want to get started with HârnWorld, you could pick up a copy of the main HârnWorld book, which covers the entire setting at a high level, then pick one of the realms in which to set your game, such as the book this video covers, the Republic of Tharda, and finally, pick a city, town, or other regional area for the site of your campaign within that nation. Now, in my opinion, you don't necessarily have to have the main HârnWorld book just to get started running a game on Harn, but you should pick up both a nation and a city setting within it. If you only buy a city book PDF, for example, you'll be missing a lot of context for the kingdom in which the city is set, and it might be a little harder to make sense of it. Luckily, Columbia's been including major city information within these Kingdom hardbacks they've been doing, and the Tharda hardback printing is no exception, including the Tharda book and books for its 2 biggest cities, Koranan and Shiran. So really, picking up one of these Kingdom books is a great place to start. Now let's talk about the Republic of Tharda. I'll go over some setting details in this video, but just know that it only scratches the surface of what's in this book. There's much more to discover. Unlike the other civilized realms in Harn, Tharda is not a feudal kingdom or any kind of true monarchy. Also, unlike Rome during its heyday, Tharda is not ruled by an emperor. Instead, the Senate itself oversees the Republic. And rather than tribute flowing upward in a straight line from serfs to lords to a monarchy, land is held by patrons who have clients in a sort of free enterprise realization of feudal land cultivation as well as commerce. This can get complex, as clients themselves may also be patrons, and in some cases, clients can have more than one patron. But overall, wealthy landholding clans hold the reins of power. In practice, this results in a plutocracy in which the will of the wealthiest determines policy and political direction. Tharda maintains a standing army supported by taxation of its landholding clans, and this is also unlike the feudal kingdoms, which tend to muster conscripts when and as needed from their subjects. Tharda is rich in natural resources, especially salt, which is its best-known export. Slavery is part of its economy too, with many slaves working in ruling families' estates and some fighting in the popular gladiatorial Pamasani games. For a Harnic nation, the Republic is unusually tolerant of many religions, and worship of almost any of the gods is legal. The Church of Haleia, goddess of wealth and pleasure, is the strongest and most prevalent in Tharda. Tharda is bordered by 2 of the other Harnic nations, the kingdoms of Rethem and Kandé, and along its wilder frontiers, 2 major tribal groups harry and range, the Tulwin and the Gozida. Tharda itself grew out of the remains of an older civilization, the Korani Empire, and has deep cultural roots from the days of Korani's dominance. A series of emperors ruled from the empire seat at the city of Koranon from about 301 BT, which is basically Harn's version of BCE, until the empire's fall in 565. The empire's fall was the result of a religious uprising known as the Balshan Jihad and a devastating plague known as the Red Death. Balsha was a revolutionary prophet of the dark god Morgoth. After this, the theocracy of Tekos, devoted to Morgoth, ruled the Thard River Basin area for some time. At first, the Bolshevik Jihad had a lot of popular support, and some cheered on the early days of the theocracy as it saw the vicious butchering of the Korani Empire's nobility. But the Thardic people soon came to see that while the empire was tyrannical, it was nothing compared to living under the nightmare of the theocracy. Eventually, the theocracy's dictatorial leader, Horanam, was assassinated, and the theocracy promptly collapsed. With much of the Korani nobility killed off, wealthy merchant clans in urban centers now emerged as Thardic leadership. Gradually, what would become the Republic of Tharda began to emerge as former Korani groups reunited bit by bit, ultimately merging into one nation founded in 674. Meanwhile, the nearby kingdoms of Kandeh and Retham were formed. The peoples of these three nations are ambivalently united by both their common historical background as well as the tensions developed as all of it played out. Retham is, at least in part, the spiritual successor to the theocracy, with the worship of both Morgoth and another dark god, Agric, dominating its culture. The three nations have now settled into fairly stable borders and are officially at peace, but tensions are high between them and war could break out at any time. The Thard River is a major trade route, along with the so-called Salt Road, upon which the export of salt and other goods to the rest of Harn depends. This brings a cosmopolitan influence to the Republic, and that's reflected in how its people dress and groom. There are also thriving practices of visual arts, theater, architecture, and food and drink. Given the influence of Halea, sumptuous feasting and drinking is common. In the cities of Koranon and Shiran, Pamasani arenas host gladiatorial games for the masses. The popular games are so much a part of Thardic culture that they are even sometimes part of the judicial system, with criminals sentenced to appear in them. There's a lot of interesting detail in the book about various factions in the Senate and how politics operate in Tharda. What in our modern world we would call lobbying is simply how political business is usually done, and the courting of favors through gifts to office holders is also quite legal. In Tharda's open plutocracy, these aren't considered bribes. There are also details on how law is adjudicated in the Republic and an explanation of the elements of its military, commerce, and guilds. The various churches present in the Republic are explained too, along with how they operate in Tharda and how they are regarded by the Thardic people. The major clans are described in the book along with all of their heraldry. The Republic is divided into 7 provinces, including the city of Koranon itself, each of which is detailed in the book, including who its rulers and major players are, and the book also provides a lot of information on major districts within these provinces. The second half of the book is devoted to 2 major cities in Tharda, Koranon and Shiran. These are typical of the materials published for major Harnic cities, with maps of various areas and a lot of details about their buildings, businesses, governments, and denizens. Koranon is the most populated city on Harn and is also Tharda's capital. It's in a sort of hub location between 3 other important cities in the area, and is one endpoint of the famous and storied Salt Route. The city is divided into enclaves, each surrounded by inner walls. The book details Koranon's economy, criminal underground, legal system, military defenses, artistic culture, religious culture, and even provides a timeline of the city's individual history. Each of the city's enclaves is individually mapped and coded with details about locations within it. Many NPCs are described, who comprise the noteworthy denizens of the town's political and economic structure, from government office holders down to individual shop owners and citizens. There are adventure hooks listed in several of these sections too, along with a few maps of individual buildings. Koranon has a twin city across the Thard River called Kusaim, which was recently annexed by the Thardic Republic, and it's also covered here in the Koranon section of the Tharda book. All in all, the Koranon section is 44 pages, covering the largest city in the Harnic Isles. The final section of the book covers the Thardic city of Shiran. It's the second largest settlement in Tharda, but it's the smallest city on Harn. It's known for corruption and vice, and has been nicknamed the City of Sins. It has a bit of a dark past, too, as the former seat of the theocracy of Tekos. Later, Shiran became the capital of the Shiran Republic, which would ultimately become part of the Thardic Republic. In the present time of the game world, it is now the capital of a Thardic province, also called Shiran. There are mining, metalsmithing, and jewelers guilds in Charan together creating luxury goods. And a great deal of vice is also traded here, including trafficking. On top of legal but dubious activities such as this, there's also a thriving black market. Charan is also the starting point for a common pilgrimage route to Araka Kalai, the home of Ilvir, the only god in Harn who permanently dwells on its soil. As with Koranon, the book covers Charan's culture, economy, and denizens in a lot of detail, and this section also includes maps of the various areas of Charan, along with a few specific interior locations like buildings. Adventure hooks for running stories in Charan are also here. And now let's take a look at the Kickstarter pledge levels. You can pledge $1 without getting any product just because you believe in the project and want to back it. Next is the $49 level, which includes the Tharda hardback and a PDF copy as well. For $339, there's the hardback Empire level. This includes all of the hardback setting books so far, which are HârnWorld, Republic of Tharda, Kingdom of Kaldor, Kingdom of Meldarin, Kingdom of Rethim, Kingdom of Orbal, Kingdom of Azadmir, and PDF copies for all of those. For either of these last two pledge levels, there are a number of add-ons for individual hardcover titles, as well as several PDFs and PDF bundles for many other titles in the Harn setting, such as adventures, books on trade routes, manners, the Pilot's Almanac, Harn Master Rulebooks, and so on. If you do wind up backing this Kickstarter, do us a favor and use the link in the description for this video. And that wraps it up for the Republic of Tharda Kickstarter. Until next time, may all your 20s be natural. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Of course, it always helps us out if you like and subscribe. And check this video's description for a link to a few other cool things from Game Talk Network. Links to other channels in the Game Talk Network, like the Board Game Rundown, the Miniatures Rundown, and the Lorcana Rundown. A link to our Patreon for the Game Talk Network, where RPG Rundown is one of the pledge levels you can select. And a link to our GTN Discord server. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.